sort of base down in Pioneer Park.
Do you mind if I put you on YouTube?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you can tell me and it'll go on stream. So anyways, I'm down here at Occupy Salt Lake City, and I have, I don't know if you want to do the user.
Isaac.
What is it?
Isaac.
Isaac? Justin. Nice to meet you both. I'm Timber, and I'm streaming from Oakland. So if you want to tell me what was going on.
We had two camps, one in front of the Federal Reserve branch there in Salt Lake, and a sort of headquarters in a place called Pioneer Park.
It was the original place that the Mormon settlers had settled in the valley. So it has a lot of symbolic meaning here for Salt Lake City.
Right.
To reoccupy.
Right. I grew up here, actually.
Oh, really?
I lived here until 4th grade, so I know history of Salt Lake pretty well.
So you know the history of Pioneer Park.
Yeah. When I heard you guys were occupying, I was like, that's perfect. That's amazing.
It had a certain reputation that I'm not sure got fully thought out before.
No, by proxy of opening up a tent city in the middle of a downtown center, I believe most occupations kind of face that
opposition,
inheriting the social responsibility of the welfare for the homeless, locally evicted and locally vagrant. Here in Salt Lake City, because the demographics of supporters to non-participants is a little bit different. I view it as a blessing because we actually were able to tackle a lot of the issues involving the social care right
we were
in
making
front.
progress on some pretty difficult things, like some of the homeless people who were camping with us, and I was prior, and I'm homeless myself, but some of the people who were homeless and also had substance use issues were being sober in camp and participating. And
it's interesting to know how the social backdrop of having a population in Pioneer Park that wasn't the homeless really changed the dynamic of the history of the park, the reputation of the park. It was getting quieter, it was getting less violent, and we were right in the middle of when we got evicted of doing a study from some of the local nursing students that were involved in doing a health needs analysis of the community. As far as I know, so far, they found 6 individuals that actually qualified for Medicaid that didn't know. They didn't have the pathway to get there. And they were going to be implementing a little bit more of a strict medical situation down there as well. It's a real shame that they weren't able to carry it out. They were going to get an Alcoholics Anonymous meeting there from a couple organizers that had been involved in the alcoholics culture here a long time in Utah. The social backdrop of having the dynamic of people down there in the park actually made the recovery more approachable for a lot of people. And we were right in the middle of implementing that as well when they took down our camp. Currently, we're in a legal battle with the arrestees and some of the homeless that were pushed into the street that night. It was a snowstorm and they were pushed into the street. Some people chose not to go to homeless shelters because, in Salt Lake City, homeless shelters aren't exactly the safest place to be sometimes.
I don't think they are in any city. I think that's pretty common.
We were working with a lot of those people to gather our resources. We demanded from the city public records from June 6th, the day that Oddbusters called for the occupation, and the eviction date. Basically all transactions, all communications, letters, emails, phone calls involving the occupation, whether it be Wall Street or Salt Lake. Due to the Freedom of Information Act, the city is required to provide us. So we're going to be actively looking into the eviction, the human rights abuses that happened, and the legality of the quickness within which they judge why we should be evicted from camp.
Now, I think your raid from there was on Saturday, right?
Yes, it sucks.
Okay, so we had a lot of activity in Oakland on Saturday, and I wasn't able to follow, but I'm not sure if I heard correctly. Did you guys have a lot of roughness from the police that day? Anything unnecessary?
Show of force.
I remember hearing
was
some
a
tweets about it,
lot
but
of-
I didn't get to follow up on it.
I would arguably say that it was probably the largest show of force of police in the city's history.
Yeah.
We had they were prepared to arrest all of us. They did have the riot vehicles there. There was
Yeah.
tear gas ready for being
Yeah.
used.
But was not used, or
they
what?
had-
mobile command vehicles, and the street blocked off 2 cars deep for the entire section.
Yeah.
It was the second time that the state, city, all of the police agencies were involved in a single action, coordinated at once. They surrounded the park on 3 sides, and I know that there was actually a lot of groups of people that, many people that were coming down to the park once they heard it was being evicted, that were actually turned away.
Yeah.
That were blockaded off by the police from entering.
Did they actually have barricades out here, like the metal barricades in camp?
They had barricaded the streets off with, as far as I can tell, every police vehicle.
Oh, just the vehicles?
Yeah, they had blocked up the entire 4th South. 4th South is the intersection that goes out of the city. It's one of the main on-ramps out of the city, and they had blocked that off specifically so that people passing by couldn't be able to see.
Yeah.
It was very strategic, very thought out. It was planned before they actually found the excuse to evict us. I believe we were set up. I believe that they were waiting for any excuse to throw us out, and the minute that they had one, they jumped right on top of it.
Well, definitely, we're seeing. I mean, it's kind of become a trend throughout the different occupations that once there's something not quite right, they just move in on it, rather than investigating the situation, finding out what really happened, and then reacting. You know, they're just jumping on things, just like I guess anybody would.
They evicted us from the camp. They told us 48 hours, basically.
It was 36.
36 hours is what the total was. They didn't give the camp enough time to mourn the death of Mike.
Right.
We had that right. We had that right.
We had that right. I mean, it was 36 hours. I mean, how? It was the first homeless death that was reported on in at least 3 years. I don't remember of any homeless death ever really being reported on, but I know for sure.
Well,
in
murder,
the last 3
but
years.
never exposure.
Oh yeah, never actually exposure.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is the first one they reported on.
So just to back up for a second, when did you guys actually start your occupation? What was the first date?
It was October 6th.
October 6th.
October
Okay.
6th.
And you referred to Mike. That's the man that was found, right?
Yeah, Michael was an
Okay.
active participant. He was 44 years old. He's volunteering in the kitchen. He chose actually not to be in the homeless shelter this year,
Right.
in order to participate in the movement. You know, he was one of us.
Yeah.
And the cheapen his death, cheapen his life, really, by using it as a political tool, as evicting people from camp, is to me beyond belief. It's the most disrespectful thing you can possibly do.
Definitely.
They called him a bumsicle. We had a vigil for him. You know, it's that kind of mindset. That mindset change we're getting at. We're reaching out to people that.
And also, our chief of police in the press conference that suddenly swarmed down on us within 1 hour of the discovery of Mike's passing. He very clearly used Mike's death as a tool, saying, like he said, one death is too many, and it's like
53 people died last year on the
58
streets.
the year before.
None of those were reported on.
Right.
None of those were really cared
so
about by the police.
Reacted on
Just
or
one that
anything.
they could use as a political tool.
Yeah.
It's completely, in my opinion, inhumane to cheapen someone's life like that.
Yeah.
Give people a mourning process. Give people a grieving process.
So he actually was found on Saturday morning, or was Friday?
He was found on Friday morning.
On Friday morning. So
Friday.
within 24 hours, you guys were being evicted.
Yes. We were let know that day that we had to be out.
Oh, on Friday.
On Friday morning, we were told we had to be out by sundown.
Wow.
We had about 36 hours to be evicted from the park, which is why we had no time to really prepare for it.
But
Wow.
11 a.m. on Friday to 6 p.m. on Saturday. So
Actually, there was recorded 3 other deaths at 3 other occupies.
Same day.
Same day.
Would you like to be on the live stream? I don't like to swing over unless you have permission.
Sure.
What was your name? Or-
My name is Jesse.
Jesse.
Riddle.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, so after doing some research, just skim research, there was like 3 other cities that were indicating that there was either suicides or homeless deaths.
There was a suicide, a supposed murder, and then the overdose.
Yeah.
3 encampments on the same day on all these camps. So Victor, on the
Oh,
same day.
something else is we had a very obvious incident of an agent provocateur on Friday after the press conference. It was very interesting to watch.
Yeah.
It was a guy who had been seen around before, but when the police came, he immediately calmed down and stood there chatting with them for like 30 minutes, long enough for the media to get in and get their photo out, and was flirting with one of the cops.
He was never in the camp ever, other than that one time. You know, there's been a couple incidences when the police actually dropped off drunks at the park in order to arrest them later on and use it as like, well, here's another ticket in the park.
Wow, do you guys have documentation of that of any kind? Or?
Yes,
yes,
there is.
Or
That's insane.
There were instances where they were called for one incident and did not respond to that, but would ticket people for smoking in the park.
Yeah.
I saw 3 police officers, I'm sorry, 4 police officers that actually watched a fight in the park. It was brutal. It was actually a really brutal brawl in the park. We called them to actually break it up, and they watched it happen. They let it happen, came into the park and gave somebody a ticket for smoking a cigarette and left.
Yeah.
We tried to work with the police to
and then they
mitigate some
spun
of the
it,
problems.
saying how many more citations and tickets occurred in the park while we were
91
there.
citations, they
Yeah.
said. 91 citations they gave us.
And the majority of them for smoking, not violence or drugs.
And according to the city's press release, it says 90 arrests.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, and the night before the gentleman passed away, Mike passed away, there was a report in the newspaper on Wednesday about a brawl that happened with 30 people.
They label it as melee.
There was a few drunks that were coming into the park, and the police exaggerated the numbers, just making it look worse to the public about what actually happened down there.
There were like 20 bystanders and maybe 5 people trying to break it up, and 5 people actually. Everybody having fun.
I think the biggest injustice of the night, though, was the fact that it was snowing on Saturday. It was a cold storm coming in.
Like if they really, really definitely had to pull through with their plans, they could have waited a day or 2.
Right.
You know?
Yeah, to like mourn the death and let the storm pass over.
Yeah.
Instead of giving us the ability to break in camp and settle in for the winter and actually maybe save some lives and protect some people for the cold storm that's coming through, the city should have been working with us.
Yeah.
They chose to not. They chose to make us gather our efforts and energies in order to try to defend the camp instead of mourning and instead of preparing for the cold storm that was coming. I don't understand what mentality the city had to let that kind of injustice happen. To chase, there's at least 6, 7 people here that were pushed out to the cold that night, onto the streets because they weren't allowed into the homeless shelters, or they just chose not to go there because.
Do you guys have like a pretty active communication with like the mayor and the city council and all that?
We do.
Like, do they attend your GAs and stuff like that?
No, the mayor's blowing us off.
Not with the mayor's office.
The mayor's blowing us off, but he sent his little mini mayor to come.
Oh.
His voice.
Right.
With the deputy mayor, we have a pretty good relationship right now. But
Arguably.
Yeah.
Kind of inconsistent.
But we can.
I'm not really happy with the mayor right now.
No,
Yeah, well,
He could have stopped what happened at the park.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely.
So.
Well, and let's identify the people who actually made the order: the mayor and the chief of police, not the city council.
Well, I mean, city council though, in a lot of cities are, coming at least out to rallies and speeches and GAs to at least show city support. although they
and
don't
then
make
in
any
Seattle,
decisions,
they-
but they do show support.
Right.
But unfortunately, like you said, they're not the chain of command that we really need on our side.
Right.
Well, there's one gentleman that came, Jason Chaffetz. He came and tried to openly support the movement in the first couple of weeks, and he got completely ostracized by the political community here. So I think that kind of set a precedent that anybody who was maybe a little bit supportive or sympathetic of the movement is not necessarily open about it. So them attending some of our GAs and rallies is not.
It's not helping because they don't take it back.
I would love to have them more. We marched down to the mayor's office last week during the November 17th action. We've had a group of people. We marched right over to the mayor's office. We were whistling the solidarity.
Occupied the coffee spot in the mayor's office.
We drank all the mayor's coffee, and we requested a meeting with him. But we're still waiting to hear back.
Wow.
We do have some members of some members that are in indirect contact with the mayor, dialogue with him. We still have this permit, which is a little bit of good faith.
Yeah, you started to talk about that. So you guys had a permit starting when you moved here?
We got a permit here. What happened is we had a few people that were camped out in front of the federal
For the building.
mainly because there was a few people that didn't necessarily want to be in the park, surrounded with some of those issues there.
Right.
So they've been camping out in front of the Federal Reserve. When the first snowstorm came down, we occupied a lot right across the street. It's owned by a real estate firm in Atlanta. It used to be a jazz club, one of the largest of its kind in the Western United States.
Gay jazz club.
Gay jazz club.
Very important.
And it was bulldozed. And 3 years ago, it's been doing nothing. There's no plans for the lot. It's basically corporate waste. So we moved in. We set up a small camp. We took our stand for a week. The gentleman who tried to throw us out called the police, and from that point on, we were able to negotiate to get this permit. They originally offered us one permit over there in the Leo Wells lot, right across from the Federal
Leo
Reserve.
F. Wells, very interesting individual. I highly recommend looking at his website.
They offered us
What was it again?
Leo F. Wells.
Leo F. Wells.
He's the gentleman that owns the lot over there. Has no plans for it. It's just wasting city space.
Oh, right.
So we moved in. We took our stand. They originally gave us the permit for one parking space in front of that lot on the street.
Right.
Said good luck, go nuts.
Oh,
wow.
we would have to pay.
So that's when we took our stand and out of
the occupation?
yes, Occupy Salt Lake City.
How was evil?
Solidarity. Then that stand that we took over that Leo Wells lot got us this permit. So we've been working for the last couple weeks to fix some of the fine print in the permit.
Yeah.
So that we're able to expand the camp.
So how long is the permit for?
It's a week-by-week permit.
Week by week. So they just come out, check you guys out, and say, okay, one more week's fine or whatever.
As long as we're within the code, as long as we're keeping it 100% alcohol, drug, and violence free, and we stay within the confines of the permit.
So what is the guideline that they gave you as far as space?
As far as space goes, we have from this Olympic monstrosity here all the way down to the staircase. Basically, that trash can is right before the staircase.
Okay.
And then from these trees to the wall
the
right
wall.
there. So more or less this little platform area that you see.
Yeah.
We're trying to platform over the entire area. The idea is making it as difficult as possible to take down. So
And then
if we try
also
to
further.
fix this within 24 hours, we have the argument.
Yeah. Well, not only that, but you guys have more snow on the way, and I'm sure getting
Yes.
up off the ground will be helpful for you guys.
It's going to be a difficult winter. This little unit right
I was
here.
excited when I drove by and seen you guys building that. Reno has one of those.
Yes.
And I saw that. I was like, yes.
We got some ingenious heating mechanisms going through as well. So this is going to be a good thing to help us stand up for winter.
So you have heating going through this?
We have a little bit of an air pump in there, a little heating system that we've designed to keep an airflow.
And you're going to cover it? Yeah.
We're going to be covering it with these tarps. It's going to be a lot more able to weather the winter. None of these tents are designed for winter.
Yeah, no, definitely.
So
You'd
this is
probably
gonna
have to
be
go
a
buy
key.
some $1,000 tents for that, right?
Plus, you like the idea. Yeah. That might be the wrong message.
Yeah, no, I'm just saying there are some designed for it, but nobody can really go that route.
And
So.
the idea here is that like we want to keep it sustainable.
Yeah.
You know, we want to make sure that we're doing the occupation right. You know, we want this is locally engineered, recycled material, sustainable dome tent. You know, it's not a Walmart tent. It's
Yeah.
something that we've done. The community's pulled together to pull together for us.
Yeah.
And you know, that's kind of the moral of the message we want to send. We're putting in a greenhouse. We had a greenhouse that we had built over the kitchen in Pioneer Park. So we're going to be moving that actually right front here, so we can take the space up to the trees. That's legally ours right now.
Yeah.
And we're going to be using that as a little information tent. I'd like to see another one put in here so we can actually grow some food in it. Show a little bit more of the green, sustainable side.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Well, you guys definitely got lucky with the space, I believe, because just it's beautiful.
Yeah.
I was expecting an ugly little lot like everybody else has, and I drove by and I was like, this is what they have? Like,
Well,
oh my
and
gosh.
it is also ideal because it is the heart of the Salt Lake City financial district.
Yeah,
It
yeah, I
really
noticed all
is.
the banks around,
So
yeah.
that
the
is
aorta
Goldman
of the
Sachs right
Yeah.
there,
Yeah, that's.
and Chase and Wells Fargo, and then U.S. Bank is.
I noticed that when I was circling for parking. I'm
Yeah.
like, this is actually perfect.
Yeah.
And then we got
It's
Goldman
beautiful.
Sachs.
It's perfectly located.
Our most
You know.
recent corporate facade in downtown.
Yeah,
Goldman
our
Sachs.
favorite neighbors, Goldman Sachs.
You know, I'm sorry, but being raised in the city, I can't understand why these are still up. I'm disgusted every time I visit. I'm like, that was over how many years
Because
ago?
Utah is still determined to milk
Pretty
that
bad.
Olympic.
Yeah. They still play the Olympic theme song down
It's
at the gateway.
insane.
Fountain.
I've seen them
It's so
all
bad.
the like, cause when I came last year and seen that whole new shopping center down by the Union Station, I almost didn't recognize the Union Station. I was like, what is this? I hadn't been here, after they built it, and it was the first time. But when I was walking through it, I'm like, this was really unnecessary, like way
and then they're building
excessive.
Well,
another
it
one
was.
right next
It's necessary if they're trying to chase out the homeless and
Yeah.
bury the homeless population in a different.
Yeah, no, I
part of
mean,
town.
I get the city's movement for that, but I'm as just a simple person, I'm like, none of this was necessary. It's way excessive. And now that it's done and over with, it's still here. It's just kind of like, why are you hanging on to the past? Like, it's over. You're not Olympic City no more.
We have budget cuts going that went into the homeless shelters this last year. Yet we have a multi-million-dollar police center going up right now. So I don't know. There's a
So homeless.
Well, on that note of like unnecessary or imbalanced spending of the city, so after they evicted Oakland out of their plaza, their original plaza, some of the occupiers went back and planted gardens.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, the next day, city workers were there ripping it out.
Ah.
Paid by the city to rip out plants.
Oh.
But we just closed 5 schools in Oakland because of funding. So, just another example.
I wanted to try to get a community garden in the park, actually, in Pioneer Park. I talked to Wasatch Community Gardens about seeing what they could do to help us out in the spring to get one actually set up.
Or
where we have the local farmers markets and everything like
Yeah.
that. So
or
it
as
would
far
be
as like
perfect.
corporate waste, there's the sugar hole, which would be a fantastic place for a community garden. So 5 years ago, one of the most vibrant neighborhoods in Salt Lake was torn down by a developer, Craig Meekum, and he never built anything on it.
6 years.
Not
6 years
and
ago.
not only that, there's still literally a hole
In the ground.
there.
Hey, Peaceful Uprising's plants are still there though.
Oh, excellent!
You know, they were the ones that planted all the gardens that are all on the side. So I like the fact that those are still there.
What I do now is
Plants in the sugar
I'm not
house.
100% sure, but I think that property was discussed. Well, RDA, council RDA for the new site. So I'm not 100% sure on that, but I think it was discussed about that because it runs near the new proposed tracks line. So, but I also kind of like not really 100% agree with that new tracks line because it's going to cut business out of Steakhouse Barbecue, and that's Salt Lake City's favorite barbecue going down there. So, either that I think the city needs to like recycling wisdom because that line, the old rail line that goes up to Sugar House is going to be reamped for the new Highlands.
And it's gonna Did they not say it's going to be a trolley instead of track?
Yeah, it's a streetcar, is what I call it. They're going to be running one through the granary district too, just south of Pioneer Park. That's just where they're planning.
So since you're, okay, so when you guys were at Pioneer Park, what would you estimate your population of the occupation to be?
It was roughly 150 people.
Okay, and you guys got downsized to what? Because you're definitely downsized.
We're downsized
We still
a
have
little bit.
about 100
About
active
100
participants.
active.
I would say
That's
more.
I couldn't say that either.
Well, like regular
honestly,
Well,
attendees too.
All of our
Yeah, your regular
participants
attendees, your
supporters are
sleepers,
still part
and
of the movement.
yeah.
Obviously, we're limited with space down here.
Yeah.
So that that is an issue. But we've actually coupled recently with One World Cafe. They're an old cafe in Salt Lake City that's based on the idea that everybody gets to eat. It's a pay-as-you-go, so you go in, you get a meal, and you pay as you can. They're a really wonderful community kitchen. They've been around in Salt Lake City. It's a really good part, a really precious part of Salt Lake City, I believe. And we've recently coupled with them. We dropped off all of our perishables that we had donated for the kitchen at the park with those guys. We're going to be using that as a little bit of a meeting space. We possibly are going to set up a little general assembly area in the backyard because we have some private land to set up construction on.
Yeah.
In fact, on Thursday we are going to be hosting Occupy Thanksgiving, potluck-ish Thanksgiving dinner at the One World Cafe.
So One World Cafe, Thanksgiving Occupy dinner. Sounds good. What time?
12 to noon for
12 to noon.
yeah.
12 to noon.
Oh, duh.
I think it's like noon
12
to 2.
Noon to something.
He might be
Yeah.
extending it till 6 o'clock because I think he's over budgeting his food.
Yeah.
So he's going to keep it up.
So where is this cafe? I'll hit them in the morning when I leave town.
Second South and Second East and South Temple.
South Temple and Second East?
Between
Okay.
South Temple and First House on 300 East actually.
300 East?
300 East, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Just right on the east side of the road. Just a little tiny little niche. There's a little patio out front.
Nice. They do like coffee drinks and stuff?
Yeah, they do coffee. I think just coffee is their one drink. They do a lot of vegan, vegetarian.
Awesome.
They have tea, all sorts of different kind of herbal teas.
I'll hit that in the morning. Moving on to Cheyenne in the morning, so yeah.
They're open from 11 to 3.
Oh, well, I'll probably miss
busy day tomorrow because they're preparing for the
Thanksgiving. I might actually miss them because I leave before that. But anyways, I think you guys give me a lot of information. I really have an idea of your camp, and I appreciate you guys going on the Ustream.
Read you one thing?
Yeah, no, definitely.
Of
I mean, I'll be retweeting this out to you guys' Twitter, so anybody in the area that needs the info.
This is a little bit of a mission statement that we've been working on in the last couple of weeks, collecting a lot of the visions, ideas, passions of the people that are occupying here in Salt Lake City.
Yeah.
The experiences we've gained from the last month and a half. It's a work in progress, but I hope you can hear it and appreciate it.
Yeah, definitely.
We are the 99%. We occupy Salt Lake City in solidarity with Occupy Wall Street to give voice to the disenfranchised and impoverished. We occupy in order to gather the efforts of the compassionates. We are building public civic space for our grievances to be aired and for solutions to be found. We are creating a community actively involved in an environmentally, economically, and socially sustainable future. We are establishing an empowered, resilient, and diverse culture committed to unite the oppressed and defy the oppressors. We seek to find a place where our success does not fall at the despair of another. We keep our doors open to constructive criticism as we organize together towards a better world for our generation and the next. We are creative, adaptive, and determined. We support a diversity of tactics. We are peaceful and nonviolent. We are prepared to challenge the status quo. We will not fall. We will not fail. We are the 99%. You are the 99%. It is together we shall prevail.
Right on. Sounds awesome.
That's why we are here.
Yes, yes. So in some of your actions, have you guys had any, vandalism or anything that's happened from people outside your camp?
Not
no.
really. We've had counter-protesters, but they have not made much of a splash.
So no type of vandalism of any kind related to occupation?
No.
That's awesome.
No, we've actually had really, there's a few passersby that voice their angry opinions, but
Right.
for the most part, we have people that really don't know a lot about the movement that walk by are curious what we're doing, and even people who are really openly like defiant against the movement or angry at the movement, should they choose to stop and talk with us for 5 minutes, more often than not they walk away with a positive feeling about the movement.
Right.
We do have a lot of support, more support actually, since the eviction of the camp, because there's just a lot of people that really are kind of identifying more with why it is necessary for us to be there, or why it was unjust for them to evict us from the camp.
Yeah.
Or
Well, and one
why
of
it
the
was
things that
strange for them to use so much force.
Oh, it was such a display of force.
Yeah. One of the observations I've been able to make since the entire movement began and I got involved was anyone I talk to about it that's not already involved is clueless. And I keep getting feedback from people. They're like, well, if you guys want your message heard, you should team up with the media and get like an hour-long broadcast or a 30-minute spot or whatever. And I'm like, no, we don't even need to do that, because all you got to do, go to a camp.
Right.
30 minutes at a camp and you will walk away knowing exactly what's going on. And nobody, like a lot of people that I talk to and tell that, they're like, well, why should I have to go out to a cold camp? I'm like, well, you want to be informed, that's the best source.
Right.
What I did when I didn't know what was going on, And the thing is no media is broadcasting what's actually positive about anything. They don't get on the news and talk about these programs and the involvement that you guys have with the community in any occupation. You don't hear about that. All you hear about is they're marching and now the cops are there. That's all you hear about.
There was a really beautiful collection of testimony that was filmed by more or less every news agency in Utah the morning after, or the day that we discovered Mike's death. There is some absolutely touching testimony from occupiers, from people that are around here, as well as other camp or other occupiers that were at the camp. Absolutely touching testimony. None of it was in film on newscasts. You actually have to look on YouTube and search out other testimonies.
Well, and that
to find out.
That's actually when I really kind of jumped in and started trying to get out as often as possible to any kind of action going on, is that I started realizing I was in Oakland, one of their first raids. I seen the air full of tear gas, and I seen media running to their vans and packing up and leaving while there's still action going on. And I seen citizens with their camera phones running towards the tear gas.
Right.
Like, there's a problem here, because the people that are running towards it, that message isn't going to get out very far, and it's starting to, with more people retweeting and more people getting out there and getting involved with documenting, and that's where I kind of got motivated to document, and
journalism is
it's the only way the message is getting out there. Really is. And I just kind of realized there's not enough. Like, I know when I'm down around in Oakland, I never see people go out to the camp and actually do what I'm doing for you guys, find out what are you guys doing, what actually is going on in your camp. People come out when there's a raid, or people come out when there's a march, but they don't come out and actually document what's going on every day, what decisions are being made, what actions are, under the table that's going on.
Well, and for a really good example of citizen journalism from an occupier, let's see, look up, I think the title of the article is Redefining Beat Poets.
I've read that.
Oh, great.
That's very inspirational to me, actually.
Yeah,
That made me decide that when I did, because I had made plans to go to South Dakota to my sister's for Thanksgiving, and I'm swinging actually south and through LA to come back. So I'm hitting like 13 different days. I'm hitting probably about 10 major cities.
Wow.
And my intent is in every city to drop off tea bags and talk to the occupations and document what's going on in the occupations. So
It's important. It's a really important thing.
yeah, and tea bags, because I'm not very wealthy and they go far. You get a box of tea bags for like $3, and
there's history being made.
very good. Very good.
I have to disagree with using that term, history.
History.
I rather use the word our story.
Yeah.
because I
You don't like
think
to smell history being made?
it's our story. It's our story,
It is
not
our
anyone
story.
else's.
It's a beautiful story. I felt more alive in the last month and a half than I have in a really long time. And there's a lot of people listening to me and felt like I feel that way.
I've started to feel that way myself since I've been getting out more and being more involved and not just showing up at a march, but actually going into a camp and talking to people. I've started making better decisions for myself and just feeling better about what I do every day.
It encourages you to change yourself. I mean, like me, I have been for a long time the type to kind of step back, withdraw, not, and I'm finding myself in roles I never would have pictured myself in.
You're engaged in a community.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's, I think that's one of the things that put our country where it's at is a lot of people just, it's easier to sit on the couch and surf DVR than it is to get out and talk to people.
I'm finding myself personally at the individual level that I'm finding myself in a new growth, different area of growth. I never really picked up to study politics. Now I'm studying politics. Any idea of anarchical syndicalism, a whole new vocabulary, again, dealing with social aspects and political aspects are just like overwhelming. I think this is awesome. I'm learning more about my community, about how the process of the city council, the mayor, my local government structure. Before, I stuck to my busy little world. And I think that was important from my perspective. It was critical that I did go through that process of recognizing that this is that important to me.
It's a self-awareness step. You have to become self-aware of what's going on in your life and why you're not involved in more. Or involved in the right processes. And once you get that awareness, it's holding yourself accountable to do something with that awareness. Kind of how I've kind of come up with that for myself. That's how I was able to explain it to somebody today that didn't know what Occupy was. And as I'm talking about it, he's typing away, researching online. I'm like, yes. My Thanksgiving Occupy homework is done.
I'm like, the collective drive of the community of this movement is like the best education system I have encountered yet. In the past 6 weeks, I have been learning sociology, psychology, biology, economics, ecology, or protest economics, Robert's rules, consensus.
Yeah, a new form of decision making has been occurred.
Yeah.
I really support the whole consensus model. Actually, from my perspective, I understand that the best form of working with groups is having this structure of work groups, affinity groups, and then larger assemblies to encampments to PA. I think this is really a more or less a way that we're going to move into. This is the future of communities working with the consensus model, working in unison with organizations that are more about the local. Because if we address the local issues, we're addressing the national issues.
Yeah, definitely. Good info. So just one more question I'm curious about, because it's all over in the media that, Occupy is just a bunch of unemployed people with nothing to do. So I'm just curious, in your camp, how many would you say are actually employed? Maybe not working at the moment, but employed.
I would say at least a third to a half.
Third to half?
Yeah, are actually employed.
And then the other portion of that, how many are students?
Huh?
How many students would you say?
That's really hard.
We have quite a few graduates. Most of the Revolutionary Students Union kids are kids. I don't should call them kids. Most of the Revolutionary Student Union members, they are all in school currently or have recently graduated.
Yeah.
I'm in my last year of my degree in international communications, and I'm employed full time. And now this is my second job.
Yeah. Yeah.
This is my full-time job right now.
Yeah.
So,
That's a
I
great
mean,
occupation.
yeah.
Yeah, it is.
and there's nothing. I mean, it's just that again, media twisting things around and making it look bad on everybody. But I know people who are personally. I'm on a medical leave of absence, and I'm using that time to get involved when I'm healthy enough to do so. I mean, if I'm going to be off work, I might as well be doing something useful with my time.
Let's also not forget in our economic structure, the underemployed individuals. The underemployed is the individuals that are having multiple jobs. The underemployed are the individuals that have a job, but they're not getting enough hours.
Yeah.
Or it doesn't pay them enough.
Or it doesn't pay enough. It pays them minimum wage, or I've seen. I work as an nurse here locally. I've seen a pay cut slowly go down for the standard.
Yeah.
Oh, let's pay the technician bare minimum $9.25 to do technical support, and let's see if we can get quality technical support out of that.
Right.
No, I'm sorry. Up, because I need.
It's a mentality. You give me bare
is.
minimum, you're going to get bare minimum. That's
Yeah, exactly.
You get what you pay for. You really.
Now, there's been times where I've been paid bare minimum, but I've been treated very well, so I meet them halfway,
From my experiences that everyone's seen is each year or 6 months is rolling back.
Yeah.
I'm engineer rookie when I do this. Okay, I don't have any certifications or any documentation. I'm self-taught.
Yeah.
Okay, but my skill level is on the national average between $20 to $35, and I can't get that whatsoever. Doesn't matter how hard I try. If I want to go into the institution of school, maybe I can get to $20, and that's being a grunt, as in swapping out a mouse for the office.
Yeah.
I mean,
and that's a common, very consistent thing throughout people that I speak with in any profession, just about. And it's not pinpointed to any one profession. It's just across the board.
It's becoming more and more obvious in the technical field. It's becoming more and more obvious that the balance of outsourcing is personally, I'm if we do continue with this economic structure, I would not be as surprised. One of the ramifications would be the IT field going union. I would not be a bit surprised if we continue on this economic model that some of the functionalities, the support systems, the services that corporations have will go union because of the level of support that is necessary to make this money in this new digital age is a bunch of technicians and a bunch of engineers that are making some life-bearing decisions on a corporation. And I think that it's not fair that our wages should be cut or anybody else's wages.
Definitely. So I was just curious, when I was walking through the other side of the plaza, I noticed you guys have Channel 2 right there. How's that working out? Are they coming by and saying hi?
They asked us to stop waving signs outside their news studio because they have
try to avoid us, but hey.
They actually, we were waving some signs behind the newscasters today, and they had actually moved. They have another studio over here where they don't have the background of the city outside. They had moved because of us. And when we left, they went back. So we went back. And then they came out and asked us to leave.
It's a little bit of fun.
Sidewalk, public space.
Yeah, no kidding.
They have that window there. We can be behind it.
Definitely.
Television tag.
It happens on TRL, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we've been pretty active about that. Um, I'm reaching out to try to get a couch down here, so we can just like move it over off the slide,
Sit and watch the broadcast.
grab a cup of coffee in the morning, be there for the morning news.
Right on.
Be a good presence.
That would be awesome.
Project an image just like any other person waking up in the morning and sitting down to watch the news.
As
Yeah.
soon as we get a first snowfall here, a good significant snowfall, I want to get some snowmen. Do like an occupied snowman
You
army.
should build
like
a
right
99
here.
out of snow.
Yeah. Get some igloos out here. Forget the tents.
Stick
Build
our
an
fans in
igloo.
them.
Get some lights going inside of them so they glow.
That might be a good idea.
Yeah. Some ice sculptures going on. Hire somebody that
That's a good idea.
recruit somebody that knows how to do it. That'll be willing to help you guys out.
We are reaching out for a holiday tree. Non-denominational holiday tree.
Yeah.
Do a little bit of make-a-wish. What is your Christmas or holiday
Yeah.
wish for the occupation? We're actually, this is a good spot for us, doing a lot of community, giving back to the community. We're planning on building an art wall right along here, doing a little bit of gathering some of the community artists, getting a little kids art wall as well. So it gives people some tangible ways to
Be involved.
get their hands on the movement and just get involved.
Yeah.
We're at a pretty good moment right here in the movement's history.
Good way to bounce back.
I think it's good. I think we're bouncing back exceptionally well.
Yeah.
I think a lot of us were fearful after the encampment. How are we going to maintain the assembly? Keep maintaining the permit here has been amazing for us, as well as our partnership with One World Cafe. That's going to build us a lot of opportunities. We may have just inherited by proxy of that nonprofit status, so that we might be able to reach out to more. As well as we're pushing a democratic homeless shelter, a democratically run homeless shelter. So the members of the movement that have been disenfranchised because of the eviction, that don't want to be in the homeless shelters, the road home, having them an alternative that they can actually be a part of, democratically have a process which they can say how some of the things are run in the homeless shelter, as well as a little bit more of an ownership. So it's not just handing, giving them a handout, it's actually providing them mechanisms so they can work themselves, get that self-confidence back, and just really have a little ownership over what's going on in their homeless shelter. And I didn't want to call it a homeless shelter really, but because of the non-profit status that we have in the movement and are currently developing, as well as the dialogue that we've opened up because of the stance that we took in Pioneer Park, there's actually a lot of possibility to kind of move that forward. I'm really excited about the way that the dialogue has been opened up with the city about a homeless rights issue.
Yeah.
Because it gives us a chance to kind of move this forward.
Yeah.
So I think we have much opportunity to build this movement out of the ashes of Pioneer Park.
That's awesome.
I was a little bit worried for a couple days, but no, there's just nothing but optimism in
Yeah.
our hearts.
That's great. Well, I'm gonna walk around and just get some shots of what your park looks like here, and I'll probably snap some shots with my good camera too.
By all means, by all means.
And then I'll.
Be around for a bit. There's some great testimonies to people that are setting up
Awesome.
this.
Awesome.
Reflecting on anymore.
Okay. Awesome. I'll touch back up with you.
Yeah.
Oh, no problem at all. So this is the Occupy Salt Lake City, and they are erecting a. It's going to be a large tent. They're going to cover this with tarps and have some heating source down inside so that they can stay warm through the winter. One thing that he was explaining as well is here, you can see this part right here, this dark gray area extends out. This is their boundary that the city has given them. So they are able to stay within this back to the trees that are lit. There's a wall there. So that's their guideline of width, and they're going to be using pallets and plywood to build up off the ground, so that hopefully they can stay clean of the snow with the snowfalls that are going to be coming through here. But this is an amazing location for them to be through the holidays, through the snow, no matter what they're going through.